believe we have a guest in studio.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. I mean, not here on the thingo, but Jared has shown up from JagaSilk to entertain us and delight us with his wares. I'm going to go over there.
Yes.
Get it.
Is it on this side? Is that probably optimal? Or would it be better on the opposite? No, there's a thing there. I'll sit on the other side.
Okay.
That's probably better.
All right.
Nice to see you again.
Good to see you too.
It's always a pleasure.
Lovely. Yeah. You still awake?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I
How do
am
you-
flagging.
How do you do this?
I normally actually don't go to sleep until 2 a.m. So I'm usually awake, or no, that's a lie. I usually don't go to sleep until 4 a.m. So I'm usually awake for most of the night anyway.
Okay.
I still don't make as much sense as I'm making now. But
every year you have me on, I try to join your pain a little bit.
I appreciate it.
You know,
Yeah.
be here at 5 a.m. or whatever. But last night it was extra special because
Okay.
I was also 1 or 2 o'clock sleep. So here we are, here at 4:30.
Figure you could make it through. You can make it through, yeah.
But we have special juice.
I'm glad. Yeah. Oh, call it special juice. This is legally something you can buy.
This is right. And you know, we actually have a comic at our shop that says better than crack cocaine. I don't do crack cocaine.
No. Who does
But-
these days? Who can
but,
afford it?
You know, and maybe things are just better in general than said terrible item.
I would much do matcha every day if I could.
Yeah, it's good stuff, you know. Like I actually we have a little podcast thing, this JagaVision thing, and one of our guests recently just did 30 days of drinking matcha straight just see how it made him feel, and it was kind of amazing.
Nice.
Because it releases alpha waves in your brain, so it makes you feel happy,
Nice.
but it also gives you what we're here for, which is the 6 hours of fatigue relief.
Right.
So. Now, I don't know how well the 6 hours will hold up when you're in a state where you haven't slept at all.
That's
but
fair. Yeah.
There's going to be something, and it's a combination of that caffeine mixed with the L-theanine, and the L-theanine is basically it's a sedative. So you're combining a stimulant, caffeine, and a sedative, L-theanine. But there's a lot more going on to it than that. It's an ancient tea, of course. It's been consumed, at least in this form, for over 500 years, traces its history back more like 1,000, 1,500 years. Powdered tea actually predates steep tea.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know. That's the first time I'm learning that. We have it here all the time.
There you go. Yeah,
Okay.
you know, I thought, you know, and also I've been bringing fancy mills on the show with me in the past,
You
and
have.
we did the Kuzen, and I thought it might be kind of cool to do a couple things, and I thought it'd be nice to just mill you up some granite ground matcha.
Yes. Absolutely.
You into that?
Yeah, I definitely am, and definitely into like getting into the whole process, because we have this is good, but we know 6 a.m. is also Dawn Guard's handover, so we're gonna do what we can, but we're also gonna be brewing tea for Dawn Guard. I have a feeling. Too.
That's the plan.
Yeah.
Yeah. That is the plan.
That seems like that moves pretty easy too.
Yeah, that's the. So this we. Double check that it's coming through okay. Yep. Okay. So we can just kind of hang out and mill this.
Yeah, by all means. Did you want to trade off, or?
We could do that. Yeah.
Sure,
You
okay.
wanna mill the.
Oh my God. Yeah, he's not messing around, folks. This is heavy.
This is, you know, and this is kind of the miniature version. So normally granite mills are actually, they take this kind of design and they blow it up about 5 times.
Okay.
So you're talking units like this large. There's professional stonemasons that cut the teeth into the plates.
Right.
And those teeth are going to be responsible for helping it to reach a particular grind size.
Right.
To qualify as matcha, at least these days, you need to be less than 10 microns.
Oh.
And 1 micron, of course, is 1/1000th of a millimeter.
Right. So this stuff comes out like toner. Like it's really like.
It's that's nice.
It's very, very, very tiny.
Edible toner. Yeah, no, it's good times. And I thought it might be interesting to prove the micron count on. This is what we use for our sessions. We do regular milling sessions every week at the tea bar, and whenever we put the matcha through the, I don't know if there's it right there or not, but whenever we put the matcha through the mills, we always test to make sure that we're hitting that particular micron count. it's kind of interesting because you get to 15 microns, then the difference between 15 and 10 doesn't seem like a whole lot.
Yeah.
You can't really see that with the naked eye at all, but your tongue can sense it. So
Wow.
when you drink it, it is actually noticeably more coarse.
Okay, so kind of a textural.
And is that, I guess, the finer the ground, the more surface area you've got, and the more flavor is being released? Is that...
I think that plays a huge role, and so we kind of do, you could say it's kind of pressure management. We control this by how much pressure we put on the plates using sort of a screw dial system on our professional plate, on our sort of more on the larger units. Yeah. And so it's and this takes, once it gets going, and
Okay.
I regret not pre-dusting the plates a bit here.
But I shouldn't speed up, I'm guessing, because if I go too fast...
It's 1 revolution per second. That's your goal. So and they take about 40 grams takes about an hour.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
But we're not gonna
hand grind that much.
not gonna hang. We're shooting for 2 grams once it comes through, because that's kind of our. How about while you're doing that, why don't I do the gauge test on one of our ones that has been milled.
That sounds great.
Okay, so this is what we do.
Man, it's just like
It's good stuff.
Guys, you're gonna love this.
He's just really good at. We're all very used to turning things to the left, so
Okay.
we should be fine.
Okay. That's funny.
I am going this directly. I'm going counterclockwise. Does it matter which way that you go, or are the teeth cut in a way that they could work in either direction?
That's a good question. I think we've been milling backwards the whole time.
Oh no, you've been unmilling the.
Yeah.
Oh, it's getting bigger.
It's turning back into a leaf. That's right. Yeah. So what we are milling, and this might be interesting for people watching to know, is this is tencha. So we are milling tencha into matcha.
Is it 10 as in emperor, like heaven, like that kind of thing?
The kanji, I don't read it as that, but it's often written in hiragana.
Oh, okay.
But there is a kanji for it, and I feel ignorant right now.
That's okay. I threw a weird curveball at you. My apologies.
No, it's all good.
So the tencha is
I'll get back to you on that. Sorry.
is the dry, is just like the raw leaves?
Yeah, so I can answer that question. What is tencha? Tencha is a particular moment, you could say, in production for when you're making matcha. Farmers that want to create matcha have to first create tencha, and tencha is created by harvesting leaves that have been shade grown. So the Camellia sinensis leaves that are responsible for making green teas, oolongs, black teas, everything. If you want to make a green tea, you want to pause polyphenol oxidase, this enzyme that's responsible for browning the leaves, within 23 hours of harvest. And you do this through what's called a kill green process, deactivating that enzyme through blasting it with heat. So in Japan, 95%, 99% of production is steamed.
Okay.
So you're going to see people steaming their leaves to deactivate the enzyme. So those shade-grown leaves are steamed, and then they take it and they take those leaves and they put them through a drying system of that. It's like 3 huge chambers that are separate. It helps to keep the leaves separate from each other as they're drying.
Okay.
And it's using air currents to hold them up, and then they're pushed through on a conveyor belt system through some sieves, and then those sieves are going to break the veins and stems off from the leaf itself, and then you're just working with the pure part of the leaf, the deveined and destemmed leaf. And at this point, it's actually called rough tencha or ara tencha.
Okay.
And then there's a further process that goes to make it sort of like ready to mill, like what we're doing right now.
So that
Actually,
steaming process is what separates like a matcha from just a green tea. Is that?
That is what separates it from. This is really funny. I feel like
it might be caught and it's not coming out anymore.
You might have mucked it up in the middle.
Oh no.
Yeah. G Taicho in chat says the characters for tencha are the kanji for milled and tea.
Thank you. Right. See, I should know this. It's actually rubbed, I think was the word.
Okay.
Rubbed.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, or at least that's rubbed became milled. Thank you. What was this person's name?
G Taicho.
G Taicho. Love you. Yes. So we're working essentially with a tea that's gone through a laborious process to make it millable. So if you took just any green tea and you milled it into a powder, it's not going to qualify as matcha.
Oh,
You have to be milling tencha.
but I bet there are people who do that anyway.
There
and
are,
They call it that. Okay.
And they call it that, yeah. So, and how would you know? I mean, if it's actually tencha that's milled into matcha, especially if it's made in Japan, you're going to be able to definitely taste it. There's going to be a larger presence of umami. The texture's going to be very different. If there's any stem or vein in there, you're going to taste it. You're not going to be able to mill it down to that fine enough texture.
Okay.
Yeah, it's hilarious. I feel like there's a trick here. I was using this to mill soybeans,
Right.
and I remember I did the same thing. I went backwards.
Oh no.
Yeah.
You lost track of what the correct direction is?
Yeah, right. That's
You start
Because
losing
when I
faith.
saw you pour it on, I was
Yeah.
like, there is a hole, and I can see things going into the hole.
Yeah.
And this has to fit on top of a thing that
Yeah.
like a spindle of some sort.
Yeah.
So it's open.
Yeah.
Yeah. Huh.
And it is gonna work. And I have successfully milled on this mill before, but I haven't used it in quite a long time. I thought it'd be really fun to bring it today, but
I'm having a good time.
Are we actually milling? So on my matcha mill, it's gonna be it is definitely clockwise.
Okay, so it is definitely clockwise, but I should still do 1 revolution per second, or else I'm gonna put too much friction in and probably.
Well, I think we want to at least see the powder come out first. So
Okay.
we could experiment with different directions until we see the powder come through. Okay, I'm just gonna make some.
You bet.
Yeah, let's just do this.
All right.
So I'm gonna show you the
Did you
grind.
put tea in it? And there is stuff in there that's going through.
There
Right on top.
there is tencha
Yeah.
Okay.
loaded in the hopper. It should be coming through any moment. Okay, so we're gonna test what I have milled on my professional machines. So what I do is I do actually a ratio of 5 grams of water to 1 gram of tea. Push it through. Okay. And what I'm doing here is I'm creating a sludge. And painters use this to get the right texture of paint for when they're painting. So, because they use this similar sort of technology.
They take the pigment and they put it into a suspension of some sort of solid or whatever. But they do it with a very small amount.
That's right.
Yeah. Okay.
It's a similar idea. And this gives you just a sense of.
It smells amazing.
Oh, I'm starting to smell it over here.
Yeah.
It's oftentimes when you're told something is really good for you, it often doesn't taste that good. But
I know that we've talked about it in previous years, and I've always given you that thing of it's like, man, it tastes and smells like freshly cut grass. Everyone's like, great, not what I want to be drinking first thing in the morning, right?
I know, but it's like the disclaimer is in a good way,
Yeah,
right?
in such a good way. Oh.
Yeah, so that was the grind. I don't know if that was possible.
You
for
can
me
probably
to see
see
it
it
all.
here, and they can get a better sense of what's been. So you took what you had and you drew this card across it.
Yeah, so if I was gonna redo it almost, it would be that you would start here with the sludge and you slide it across the grind gauge. And how it's set up is that you can actually see where the lines give away to being less permeating.
Right.
So these lines here, this is 25 microns all the way down to 0, and as long as we're under the mark on here, which we are, we're kind of in the 7.5 area.
Okay.
Then we know that we've achieved the result that we want.
Right. You're basically saying push all the particles out through this thing, and then it's like whatever's kind of left in suspension. You're still trying to get you're not making a line. You're kind of connecting the two lines.
That's right.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try this way again.
You bet.
I want to. This is just gonna drive me crazy. I'm gonna watch this afterwards, and I'm gonna be like, why?
You'll go home with it. You'll put tea in it again, and be like, okay, so where are we with this?
Yeah. So
It sounds like it's making noise. Yeah. Maybe I've been unwinding it the whole time.
well, I asked you to go clockwise again because it's what I remember my mill being.
It
And-
sounds better like this. It's not squeaking as much, right?
That's right. and I think I'm seeing the powder start to form. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. That's it. I can even feel, you can feel the resistance, and you can see it coming up.
Oh yeah, that's a very, very, very different.
Well,
Yeah. Okay. So while that's milling,
Okay.
why don't I make a bowl?
if you get your own hand mill, make sure you figure out what direction.
You know, so we did this with the soybeans, and again, same thing. It was just we did it in reverse, I guess, because we were thinking clockwise.
Right.
And it would come. It even formed a waterproof seal.
Oh man.
Like it was. You know, you maybe don't want to mill too far in the wrong direction. You may blow a hole in the universe.
Fair.
You need, you need a little, like, Sharpie arrow on the top.
Yeah,
of the
mill me this way. Yeah, no, I'm imagining, as it shoots out of, like, we have a chute on the so the mills that we have mimic this technology, and there's a reason for it. Is that by milling the tea on these plates that are moving in a circulature fashion, you're actually going to create a speck shape that's circular.
Oh.
Whereas if you put it through a ball mill or like a burr mill, under a microscope, the speck size, even if it's the same measurement on the grind gauge, is going to be square in shape.
Okay.
And when that goes through the pores of your tongue, you can actually sense that
The difference.
Huh. Yeah. Which is kind of fun.
That's kind of neat.
Yeah. Let's build this. Let's go.
And this is one of the reasons, I guess, it's ground so fine is that you're unlike green tea or other kinds of tea, you're actually eating the leaf and everything.
Yeah, you're not just steeping it and then taking the leaves out.
That's right. And so there was like a University of Colorado study that was just examining antioxidant absorption, and there's something like 120 times more antioxidants absorbed by your system when you're consuming the leaves whole, like you are in matcha, than if you were to steep the tea.
So are you saying that when I drink tea at the end I should eat the leaves?
It depends.
Depends on the tea that I'm steeping, I guess.
I mean, there are actually cultures of, say, like making tea leaves into, like putting them in your stir fry, or in Japan you do see like a tempura that you can make with tea leaves that is fantastic. There is a whole culture around eating tea. Oh, yeah. You see that puff of cloud?
I can smell it.
You can smell
I
it.
can definitely smell it, yeah.
Yeah.
My nose is better than my eyes at this point, so.
So we have a machine that does this for us, and it produces 2 grams in about 15 seconds.
I think you brought it the other year.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
And you had to bring like a step-up transformer for it and all sorts of stuff.
All sorts of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember I was talking about how the standard mills are 40 grams an hour?
Yeah.
And that we just couldn't justify that when we need something like 100 kilos.
Right.
Can you imagine milling 100 kilos on one of these?
God. Even if you had it automated to just kind of always do it, it'd be like it's constantly running in the back. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. You want to take over?
Yeah. You betcha.
See that green line? Yeah.
Yeah. You can see it get much greener now on the edge.
We're gonna get there. We're gonna get there. Yeah. So yeah, the tencha leaves milled into matcha are also going to, of course, create a really nice fresh flavor, and it's gonna taste like that in a good way, the fresh cut grass. But it has the umami, the brothiness. You pick up notes, especially when it's been milled and there's a firing process too that I talked about last year. Do you remember I had that tea roaster?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So yeah. So last year I was actually talking to you guys from JagaSilk. So I was hanging out roasting tencha, and that is essentially it's a firing process where you reduce the residual moisture out of the gate from 5% down to 4%. So it's not anything you can see visually, but you can taste it.
Okay.
And in southern Japan, it's really common practice to do this firing process, whereas in central Japan, they don't do this firing process. They finish it during like the production of the tencha. It's not like a post thing that they do.
Okay.
But it's a really fascinating thing to do that, because regardless of whether you do it during like early production or in post production, you have you can pick up the notes of kind of like the cooked greens. And you can pick up the notes of the really almost like a chocolatey flavor.
Ooh, okay.
So,
I mean, yeah, I guess cocoa gets ground that thin too. You'd probably have the similar kind of texture. to it, but the flavor I wouldn't have expected. Yeah.
And I think that that's because of the Maillard reaction.
Oh.
When you're toasting something and you caramelize the sugars,
Right.
you're gonna have that transformation of flavor.
Yeah, that
And
kind of okay. Yeah. it's-
Caramel?
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, caramel, actual toast. I'm making you work today.
Yeah.
Sorry, sir.
The toasty kind of thing, right? That's a good word for it.
If I can interrupt for just one moment, we need to draw for our winner of the Hyrule Night Skies shawl.
All right.
So
Let's knock it out.
let's just draw for that. The winner is. Oh, it's gonna be a poll again.
Yep. Oh! Free doof!
Free doof!
So, congratulations.
Redoof, you have won. That raised $1,893.29.
Awesome.
It's amazing. Redoof, make sure your mailing address and phone number is updated in your donor account. And I hope you really enjoy it. So now,
Oh, I can smell it over here now.
You can see it's milling. Yeah, we're seeing little tiny specks. Okay, I'm gonna make you a matcha to power the mill.
All right.
This is part of that human labor. Needs the energy. So what I've done is I put 2 grams of tea through the sieve. I'm going to put 90 grams of water on top. This is temperature controlled water. I like to use 60 degrees for tea that I have from Kyoto because it hasn't been finished fired. It's more fragile. I use a little bit of hotter water, 65 degrees centigrade, when I'm whisking teas from Fukuoka or southern Japan. And then there's about 15 seconds of agitation with the bamboo whisk, the chasen. And these chasen have been cut by the Kubo family, and the Kubos have been cutting the bamboo whisk for over 25 generations. Which is pretty incredible.
and that's their speciality is
That's-
making whisks for matcha.
That's correct, yeah.
Do they do
Amazing.
teaware as well, I guess?
This is their thing.
Oh,
Yeah.
that is their thing.
This
just
is
the
their
whisk.
thing. I mean, they do other bamboo implements, but this is the main thing. So you see, yeah, they actually used to pass the technique down by the father and son, and they would actually cut the chasen at night with all the windows blocked off, so nobody could steal the technique.
Ah.
These days, though, the whole village helps, and they actually have sort of like, yeah, the local villagers help in doing the simple parts of cutting the whisks, and then the Kubo family cuts the quote unquote important parts.
Ah.
Yeah. So, seeing it come through. So when you drink the matcha, you're gonna want to enjoy it in 3 savored gulps. Is the idea.
Right.
Yeah.
And I don't need to do anything special. I need to suck it in extra air or anything else like that. I can just enjoy 3
Yeah,
gulps.
3 gulps of it. It helps. You know, if you want to be like technical,
Uh-huh.
then when you you would actually pick it up and you would place it on your left hand like this, and you would, the gratitude, right? And then you would change your hand position. Sorry, after you turn it, yeah, and then you would, this 1, and then 2, 3, and then you go. And so I don't like to do it that way. Personally, I like to just enjoy it in 3 savored gulps rather than all in one go like you would in tea ceremony.
Alrighty.
Now, is the best circumstance, I would guess, is to have the grinding the matcha. Can it be stored, ground?
Yeah.
But I would assume that reduces the shelf life. Like
Well,
you want-
that definitely the majority of matcha is like pre-ground, right?
Right.
And so what we're doing is we're milling it at our shop and putting a date on it when it was milled. But oftentimes you don't know when it was milled, so it depends on the company what they're going to do in terms of the expiry date. So some companies are going to put an expiry date for 2 years from milling. Some will do 1 year. Really sort of more QC focused companies in Japan will do 3 or 6 months from the mill date.
Right.
So it really depends on the company for what that expiry date is based off of.
Right.
I'm a big believer in production dates. I don't
Yeah.
think we know very much at all about our tea unless we know the production dates. So harvest dates are important, production dates are important. I'm also, when I look at cheese or wine, I love to know who made it and
Yeah.
you know
Yeah.
where it was made and all that fun stuff.
If,
So.
if it's a process that's made like we were talking about this earlier, that's like you sell teas that aren't just like single origin, you sell teas that are single harvest.
Single field.
Yeah.
We've gotten really into single field. So I know it's almost like we joke about it sometimes. We're gonna get into like single cell. You know, like how many layers can you peel back? But you know, for a long time we were getting teas that were especially in the very beginning that were from larger operations, and then we went to smaller farms. And then we really focus on, and I really love having that direct connection, because then we get, for example, the tea you just drank, the Takaki family, they always do workshops for us whenever we show up. They've shown us how to make black tea together, or what we call crimson tea. They've done workshops where we actually help them out for 3 days by putting the shade covers onto the trees.
Okay.
And so we actually went to all of their different fields and we helped them put on the shade growing apparatus that needs to be on there for 3 weeks before they harvest.
Nice.
And they're just a lovely, lovely, lovely family. And that's nice to know.
You're
like,
building a connection, and
yeah, right. And then they've also done things for us. Like this is the first year that they did a second field that's entirely spray-free and organic for us, because we have a lot of love for that process.
Right.
They're a little bit more fearful because by not spraying they could lose a lot of their harvest.
Right.
But we just tell them we'll buy whatever you create out of these fields.
Right.
So for the last few years they've done what they call the Hasegawa field. This year they did the Yoshiwara field. We also got into single farms, but we also got into single cultivars. So in apples, Granny Smith, Red Delicious is different cultivars of apples, and you find the same thing with wine, right? Napa Valley in California is, you could say, credited with starting this movement of, rather than it being about, you know, is it from Burgundy?
Yeah. Tell me about the grape.
Tell me about the grape. Talk to me about Pinot Noir. Talk to me about Cabernet Sauvignon. And I don't know if you can get this on the camera, but this is a magical moment.
Oh, hey!
How long did that take
I
us?
was looking at you, talking through it. It's like, oh, it's just coming out.
Yeah, the emerald green. Look at that.
Oh,
Yeah,
man.
finally. See, if I should have pre-milled before I came on. Hey, and
It's great too, because like seeing the difference between, and maybe on the overhead, I don't know if we quite captured it. You can see it on the TV screen.
Yeah, okay,
Where it's
cool.
like very, very dark. Shall I keep going?
Yeah, please. Yeah.
So very, very dark leaves giving way to this just beautiful, this bright emerald green.
You're witnessing the matcha being born.
That's right. I really wanted to show this to everybody. I'm really excited we got to work. That's great. So this is kind of the more traditional process, right? But I was talking about single cultivars. So this is actually, what we're milling right now is an okumidori. And what we got into more recently in the last few years is not only single cultivar, but also getting into single field. So we have one farmer that sends 7 different fields of the same cultivar.
Oh, okay.
So it's this, within an estate or within a farm, they're gonna have to, I like to compare it to, imagine if you grew the same type of tomatoes in front of your house versus behind your house.
Right.
And how those different microclimates are going to create a different tomato.
Right, because the shade of your house might do different things to it, yeah.
And so the same thing happens with the same cultivars grown in different areas of a farm.
Okay.
So the single field that we've been really getting into recently has been fascinating for that. We're able to see this this change in flavor. Okay, so this is exciting. I get to.
All right.
Do you want me to portion a smaller amount? Do you want a full? You want?
I would love to have more. I'm more than happy to drink more.
Because you need to try what you've milled.
Do want to try what I've helped to mill? Yeah, absolutely. Yes. So I can have the same amount again, and I would be very happy.
Okay. All right.
about it,
Okay.
Yes. And to that end, though, it is 6 o'clock. So what we're going to do is, while that is going to go on, I believe we should pull down the stream really quick. We'll do what it is we need to do, and then Dongard can come in. We can get that going as well, but then I will also enjoy some of this.
Okay, amazing.
Okay.
All
So
right.
thank you for joining us,
No problem.
Jared, and
Thank
we'll cut
you.
back to this a little bit later, but we'll see you guys in a few minutes. The stream will not be down for long. Don't panic. See you in a bit. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Cool. Back to matcha time. We'll be back in a bit. Let's go. Keep going with the matcha thing.
We're still milling.
If you're tuning in now, a little bit of leftover from Zeta. Thank you, Dongard. That we're gonna, because I've been milling this thing for like about 35 minutes. Jared from JagaSilk had said, you know, Beej, you can't leave until you try the stuff that you actually helped to mill. So we're gonna do one more bowl here. I'm gonna give this a try. Freshly milled from the darker green
Got
leaves
it.
on top.
We got it.
We got it. Awesome.
We got it. So we got the gram. We got 1 gram in 35 minutes. So
Yes. Awesome.
so our efficiency isn't very good here. If I knew what I was doing and I could actually help you mill a little bit better here,
Right.
it would be 40 grams an hour. But
Right.
the machine we use at JagaSilk is actually also temperature controlled.
Okay.
So you can actually get it so the temperature of there's water going into an upper plate and a lower plate that's being spun. It's also not made out of granite. Instead, it's stainless steel with what's called an Edison hard coating.
Okay.
And that protects it, but it's cut in a similar shape as these granite plates. Like this is what sort of inspires everything.
Right. Exactly.
But being able to control the water temperature, initially, I think a number of years ago, we brought on a unit, and that unit was being chilled with more of like a water tank, and we would have to replace the water. These days, we actually borrowed a brewing company technician group, and
Okay.
they came in and set up a brewing chiller. So we have like a high-powered chiller.
Oh, wow.
So now we can control the water temperature to 1 degree centigrade, and we can change the temperature of the water depending on the variety of leaf that we're milling, and we can bring out different flavors. It's really, really
So
fun.
yeah, because if you're cold grinding it too, then the added friction of doing this is the heat from the friction is going to change the
Gonna change the
flavor profile.
I kind of think of it almost like heat saturation. There's like there's the finished firing piece in the tea roaster.
Yeah.
There's the milling piece, and then there's the hot water. And I find that you got to play with all of those different areas. You can actually make it so that in all those areas it's either too hot or too cold. So you don't want to just go colder. There's
Right.
actually an optimization that you're trying to achieve.
Huh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So let's see if we nail the.
I'm eager.
All right. Here's 35 minutes of hard labor.
I mean, it's going to taste good no matter what because I worked for it.
And thank you to everybody who's letting us finish this piece. You guys are great.
I think some of them are eyeing it as well and being like, I think they want to turn on the mill.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, okay. All right, let's
Yeah.
do it. Yeah.
All right.
There you go.
Thank you.
And then, I would love to make more matcha for others as well.
That tastes very different than the other one.
Yeah, it would, right?
Yeah.
It should be a little bit sweeter almost because it's not as fine. So it'll be more ethereal,
Yeah.
but it'll be beautiful because it's freshly milled. So you get that featheriness.
There's a taste I'm getting from it that's like, I know it's like a tree or something that I've smelled before. I have no idea where, but it's like I can definitely taste that in my mouth.
That extra tinge of beach sweat.
You had to ruin it, didn't you?
yeah.
Good time.
right.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I can taste the difference in the grind. It's coarser.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, I can just feel it in my mouth.
Yeah, so there's like a residual texture, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I have when we've done this before, I've sucked air in through my mouth after I've had it,
Yeah.
and I'm just like fresh cut lawn kind of deal, right?
Yeah.
And in a good way, like we always say. And this way, it's it's not that, it's something else, and I'm gonna have to think about it because I don't know what it is.
And you were mentioning something which is using your retrofactory senses to, like we've talked about this in previous times, which is where you let it hang out on your tongue, you blow a little air out your nose, and you hold your breath for a moment, and that cycles all those aromatics into your retrofactory senses, and that gives you that really incredible flavor, I guess, clarity.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this is essentially the same tea. I don't if people can see this, but one is oxidized and one is not. And
Get that over the overhead if we can, please.
and it
Oh, there is Kevin. Okay. Okay, if we can kind there we go. Well, you can see it.
Yeah, it's very visual, right? So the this one here is only about a year old, and the color transition from this to this is so visual,
Right.
right? So, and that's just from obviously, the current harvest year is going to be helpful, but more than anything, it's about how close you are to the mill date. The milling of your matcha has such a profound effect, of course, on oxidation. You're generally starting basically a countdown. We find through trial and error that you can taste a disintegration of that umami, that kind of brothy backbone flavor. That disintegrates in about 3 months from the mill date. And then about 9 months from the mill date, you start to taste the flavor and the aromatic degradation.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then it just kind of becomes a flat tea at that. I'm sure, like kind of like what you would expect to get out of like a maybe not a tea bag. I'm assuming that this is still like if I tasted the oxidized stuff, it'd be like it's still a good tea.
No.
It's not a good tea.
No, it's
just
what?
gone.
Okay, when we moved to Canada, my wife and I, I'm originally from Canada, but like when we moved here from Japan, we couldn't find green tea that wasn't like this.
Oh.
And it was like moving to a place where, and it's not that we're the only ones that have freshness, that I wouldn't go as far as that, but it is challenging to find green tea that's not oxidized. And oxidized green tea tastes a little bit like old hay. It's got like kind of like a very almost acrid taste. And a lot of times I think because the tea is oxidized, we hide it by brewing lightly, like small doses, especially for loose tea, and we put in a bunch of honey. And that hides that acridity. The other reason why tea will often taste bitter, though, especially green teas, is a lot of folks will brew it like an English tea, and they'll do the hotter water.
Okay.
But yeah, it does make a huge difference, though. Like you can see visually, you can taste it when it's fresh, and you can't get fresher than what we just.
No, absolutely. That was amazing. Yeah.
Do we want anybody else to mill this?
If anyone would like a turn to mill, by all means have a seat. It's very heavy and very fun.
I highly recommend it. It's a great tactile experience.
Yeah.
It feels so good, and you said you'd like to stick around and brew some more matcha for people who are interested.
I'm happy to do it. Yeah.
Right.
Would you like me to stay here? Would you want me to go in the back, or what's your?
The site volunteers will have to make that decision.
All right.
But yeah, Jared, thank you for showing up. Let everyone know where they can find you and find your product and all that kind of stuff.
Okay, yeah, thank you. We're actually here in Victoria, if you're ever in downtown, but we're mostly online and wholesale. JagaSilk.com. You can go on. Our selection of matchas rotating all the time. Generally between 3 or 4 different farmers.
Okay.
But within those farmers, there's different fields and different cultivars.
Okay.
And so we like to have a lot of fun with that. And what we're drinking today is the Okamidori Okuda. What I made for you at first, the smoother one, was the Samidori blend by Takaki.
Okay.
So, yeah,
Still all the Takaki family.
the first one was the Takaki family. This is the Fujioka family.
This is Fujioka.
So Fujiokas have been growing tea for over 200 years.
Wow. Nice.
So,
You have a taste of that legacy if you'd like to.
yeah, exactly. Awesome.
If you have trouble finding JagaSilk, you can also head over to desertbus.org. They are on our sponsors page under the food sponsors. You can just click that link; it'll take you right there.
I hope you guys are enjoying the tea. And we're gonna do a little. We'll do a coupon code to Desert Bus for Hope 2023. That'll get you 10% off. That should go live by the end of the day.
Okay, the Commons people will have that. That'll be on the socials and stuff. You guys can check it there. I'm sure we'll have it on the blog and everything else. Jared, thank you so much for coming by.
Awesome.
I am actually feeling a lot more energized now. 2 big bowls of caffeine, also. I mean, in a way. Like,
Can I say one thing before we go?
yeah, by all means.
I really appreciate what you guys do. Like, it is so very meaningful. I look forward to this every year. I am moved by it on a really core level, and I'm so happy to be my small part of the journey to hopefully contribute to some sort of
Thank you.
tea goodness
That's very kind
in
of
the
you to say.
background, but I really, really want to say that what you guys are doing is so amazing. So yeah, I just wanted to let you know.
I appreciate that, because I think also when we work so close to it, we don't always feel that. So it's always nice to hear from other people that they see that it is
It
a
is
valuable thing.
Incredible.
So thank
Yeah,
you.
I am. Yeah, I tell people about it. I get so excited. I'm like, God, you need to. amazing. I can't even fathom the amount of work and heart that goes into this. So yeah, appreciation for sure.
Dawnguard, it's back to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Beach. I want to spin the hat.
She wants to stir the top hat. Yeah.
We have
Here.
no pilot.
Yeah, that's true.
We are pilotless.
Wait,
I'm here.
he's here.
Oh, good.
James would never leave us alone, right, James?
I was just cleaning. I was just cleaning some stuff up in the hallway, you know, like I do.
One revolution per second is ideal.